This is beautiful right here. I want to talk about the setup right here. We're interior of the property. We've got a creek going through here. Obvious deer trails crisscrossing across the side here. It's beautiful. It's hidden. And as we're walking in here, it opens up into this awesome, small, hidden field. And this is the exact great example of one of the worst spots you can put a food plot. And it's so hard when we go to client properties, when we look around the country, we talk to people online. It is so hard to stay away from something like this with a remote hidden food plot. It's the absolute worst location because for us to get all the way in here, we're going through obvious big open fields over here that food plots need to be planted. We're getting into the heart of the property. In fact, by the time you get to the back of this food plot back here, potential opening, we're getting into a location where you could have mature buck bedding. It's far enough away from big food over here. You start looking at that 250, 300 yard window. We have big food out there. You get back there, that's mature buck area. So we put a food plot back here, and a lot of times people are taking up the space. And so I'm going into this and I'm thinking, man, that's a 1 acre food plot at least. They're taking up that entire space, they're planting it. Now an area that would have had a mature buck bedding, which everyone needs in the property, it's the most sacred spot in the woods during the daylight, is basically eroded by a big hunting plot. And it's so hard and tempting at the same time. You have to avoid this. And so we put that food plot here. Now we displace that bedding of that mature buck by 300 yards. So you're already back 250 yards in the woods off of potentially big food towards that outside. You get back into here, you add that food. Now you're pushing them back 600 yards from that food source over there. And it's not just the displacement of that buck, because now you're putting them 500-600 yards away from that food source. Does he make that long trek every afternoon to get to that food source? Maybe. But a lot of times they want to live within that bubble. Now they might be used to that space up in a big wilderness area. That might be a lot of space compared to a northern ag area, or an ag area, say in northern Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, northern Ohio, northern Illinois. But bottom line is that sweet spot around here in just a normal ag area, mixed fields, open woods, is about 300 yards. So we're actually pushing that buck too far away. That's one problem, just spatially on a map. Number two, to get in here, we have to spook deer. There is no place you can blow your scent when you get back here and not spook deer. So now we come in here, we're already fragmenting where bucks will bed. Now we come in here, we spook deer on the way in, we spook deer on the way out. And number three, you can't help but spook deer when you're sitting on the plot itself, because there's no safe place to blow your scent. You come in here 3 hours before dark, well, the safe spot would be maybe out in the food, because they're not going to be there for another 2 hours unless there's does and fawns filling in. But then where do you blow your scent around here and not spook deer? They can be anywhere and everywhere. So you can't get in here, you can't get out, you're displacing deer. And then, oh, by the way, you can't sit here without spooking deer. People think, well, I'm going to get in here in a scent-proof blind. We love our rednecks. So we're going to sit in here in a scent-proof blind, and we'll get in here, and we're going to sit here from dark to dark. Even if that were the case, even if you could sit in here and not spook deer, you're still fragmenting where that buck's going to bed. He's not going to bed close to this food source around here, spatially. So that's a big part of the problem. And most of the time, you have to get out of that blind at some time to use the restroom. Even if you want to go to the bathroom in the blind, you still have to open windows here and there. You still have scent coming out. They're not as scent proof as you think they are. I like them, but we don't. If we go into a spot, let's say this was on the outside edge of a property, we've maintained the depth of cover, then I might get into a situation out here where I'm looking at, like, if I'm coming in here, I might blow my scent this way because that's my approach side. And that's all like open cover. There's no deer in it. I'm blowing my scent back into it. They're not bedding in this location because it's non-deer habitat. Well, that might work if this was on the outside of the property. But when I have 200 yards of cover between here and a big food source, I'm getting in the middle of that movement and I'm fragmenting that buck herd. So regardless, I'm probably getting a little bit of scent out of here too, getting in and out. Do I not spook anything? I'm on a big enough food source. I'm probably spooking deer when I do come in the morning anyways, even if I come in here 2 hours before daylight. It just takes spooking that mature buck once and he is gone. So really, when you start designing your property, you have to design around the hunt first. Be very critical and very black and white. What I mean by that is this is probably the worst food plot location that we see that people just can't resist because it's interior, it's already an open field, they've already typically had it planted, and that's a problem too. So we go into a situation like this and it's a beautiful food plot and they just say, you know, we're just not seeing the mature bucks when we're down here hunting. Well, yeah, because they spook them in and out. They spook them while they're sitting here. It's fragmenting mature buck movement. And you can say right off the bat, this isn't good hunting. You're exposing yourself on the way in and out. It's not a good ambush spot. Fragmenting the deer herd. And we have to have that painful talk about, you stare at it for a while. Dylan's filming right now. We've had to have this conversation with clients a lot. It's kind of like they can't wait to show us the spot. They might have even cleared it, but it's like, and we do that with stand locations too. It's like, it might be a good movement spot, but how do you even get in here without spooking deer? You feel bad. So the cool thing about that is, if this should not be food, what should it be? It should be cover. It should be bedding cover. Very easy to add a switchgrass bubble in the middle, add some diversity pockets of trees and shrubs if you want to, add a little bit of pollinator, turn this into more like an upland cover, add a few conifers in here. Bottom line is, give it the diversity that you would expect in a major bedding area. Call this a center core area bedding and stay out. That's what we try to teach you with Habitat IQ. Digitally, what's in my head, check out the link in the description, but we're really trying to show people is the alignment of food, the alignment of cover, turning this into cover now, getting the food out. How does it improve your habitat score, your potential to actually hold mature bucks? Because that is a hunting app. It helps you make decisions based on hunting so that you know where mature bucks should be, why they're not in a location, even looking around your neighborhood and saying, that's why mature bucks always come from here, because they have enough depth of cover, they relate to this food source. I always see them crossing the road from that location. That's why you want to get to know the neighborhood and your own property. Bottom line is, everything you do when it comes to your planning of your property boils back to hunting. And boy, that food plot right there, not only can it ruin your hunt, but it can ruin your land. It can ruin your herd management goals because you're not graded on how well you're doing with how many bucks you see and doe ratios, buck ratios, fawn lactation rates, how, quote, healthy the deer are during the summertime, the spring, the early fall. You are graded harshly how you do during the hunting season. This is not a good management plan if you can't hunt it. Not a great hunt if you have a poor management plan. Poor management plan often involves where things are located. We could have a beautiful plot there. We could have a beautiful bedding area over here. We can have great timber management. But if it's not all done and aligned so that you can actually hunt the property, it's all for naught, and it's a bad management plan, and it's bad habitat. It's not good habitat just because it grows well and looks pretty. It's good habitat only if it fits within a hunting application. In this location right now, although it's really hard to resist, and I understand that, you got to avoid it like the plague because it has the ability to do way, way more damage than good.